how to train your mind to attract unlimited wealth. They'll call it luck. They'll call it coincidence. They'll say you were born with something special, something they weren't given. But what they'll never see are the nights you wrestled with your own doubts, the mornings you woke up with nothing but a vision and a fire in your chest. Because wealth does not respond to wishes, nor to waiting. Wealth bows to those who command it with the full force of their mind. Focused, relentless, unshakably clear. You were not born to be average. You weren't placed here just to survive or get by. You were born to build, to rise, to shape this reality into a masterpiece, forged in thought and hardened through bold action. But here's the truth no one ever tells you. Wealth is not something you chase. It's something you attract by becoming the kind of person who deserves it, by training your mind to think, act, and believe like someone who already owns the fortune. If you can hold the image of your success so vividly that it burns behind your eyelids, if your thoughts can be sharpened with the precision of a craftsman, then wealth will come. Not as a favor, not as luck, but as a response. Because it has no other choice. This isn't about shortcuts. This isn't about getting rich overnight. This is about transformation. About becoming the kind of person wealth is magnetized to. Because of who you are, what you believe, and how you think. Every fortune began as a thought. Andrew Carnegie once imagined that steel would build the future. Thomas Edison believed darkness could be replaced by light. Henry Ford saw that the automobile wasn't just for the rich. It was for everyone bold enough to dream. These men trained their minds to obey their vision. They silenced the noise of the world and followed a rhythm only they could hear. And that is the true beginning of wealth. Your mind is the command center. It's the fertile soil from which all results grow. If it's filled with fear, doubt, and distraction, no amount of effort can save you. But if it's saturated with clarity, belief, and burning desire, then not even 1,000 failures can stop you. Because wealth is first created in the unseen. It begins in silence, in solitude. It's born the moment you decide, fully decide, that your life will no longer be ordinary, that your story will not end in regret. And you back that decision with faith that never bends. But faith alone won't build your future. You must think deliberately, not loosely, not casually, with direction, with discipline. Most people walk through life like radios tuned to static, constantly absorbing fear, failure, and mediocrity. They wake up reacting, drifting, surrendering to the noise and chaos. And then they wonder why nothing changes. Why opportunity knocks on every door but theirs. Why wealth avoids them like a shadow in the night. The answer is simple. They have never claimed authority over their thoughts. They've never decided with absolute certainty that they would rise, that they would become the exception. You must become ruthless about protecting your mind. Guard it like a king guards his castle. Because what enters your mind enters your life. Do you in doubt, gossip, scarcity? Or do you saturate it with vision, with purpose, with the sound of your future calling your name? The wealthy think differently. They don't obsess over what is. They live in what could be. They don't ask, can I afford this? They ask, how can I create it? They don't see problems as obstacles. They see puzzles waiting to be solved by the sheer force of will. They do not fear failure. In fact, they feed on it. Because failure to them is not defeat, it's data. It's feedback. It's refinement. So how do you begin this transformation? You begin by reclaiming your mind. You wake up before the world begins to scream. You find silence before the chaos. You sit with your thoughts and decide, clearly, what kind of life you're building. You do not let the news, or yesterday's failures, or someone else's opinion write today's story. You write it. You design it. Like an architect designs a skyscraper, intentionally, deliberately, and with clarity. Every single morning, you program your mind. Not with wishful thoughts like, I hope I make it. No, with declarations like, I will. Not, I wish I had more, but I am becoming more. Not someday, but today is the day I move. The wealth you desire is not out there waiting for you to find it. It's on the other side of your discipline. Train your mind to see abundance in the smallest moments. Train it to stay focused when the world tries to distract you. Train it to persist when everyone else gives up. This is not something you do once. This is something you do every single day. Because success is not a destination. It is a frequency, a rhythm, a mental pattern you lock into. And once you do, the world begins to shift. You will be tested. Make no mistake about it. Life will throw storms at you. People will doubt you. Plans will fail. You will fail more times than you can count. But if your mind is trained, if it's forged in the furnace of faith, discipline, and unshakable action, then nothing can break you. That's when wealth begins to find you. Not because you're lucky, but because you've become the kind of person wealth trusts. The world may flash glitter, fast cars, quick wins. But that's not where true wealth lives. Those are fruits, not roots. And roots? They lie buried in unseen labor, in unglamorous discipline, in hours of silence where no one is watching, but you show up anyway. Wealth is a frequency. In your mind, it's the transmitter. You're either tuned to prosperity or you're unconsciously broadcasting scarcity. Scarcity is not just an external condition. It's a virus of the mind. It infects through thoughts like, I can't, that's too much, or people like me don't get that. Every time you say it, or even silently believe it, you reinforce chains you were never meant to wear. But abundance begins differently. It doesn't shout. It starts as a whisper, a quiet inner voice that says, there is more. There is enough. There is a way. The greats? They listened to that voice. They followed it through the dark when nobody else believed. Because they knew something you must now understand. A mind trained to believe in abundance will always find a way. Not because the road is easy, but because it becomes inevitable. Think about Edison. Over 10,000 failures to invent the light bulb. Was he delusional? No, he was devoted. He trained his mind to see failure not as the end, but as a signal to keep going. That's the mindset of wealth. Or take Walt Disney. Told he lacked imagination, fired, broke, laughed at. But he had something rare, a mental blueprint so vivid he could walk through Disneyland in his mind long before the world caught up. That is the level of vision you must create. You must do the same. You must build your vision first in the unseen. Make it so clear, so alive, so tangible that when the world calls you crazy, you smile, because you've already visited your promised land in the theater of your imagination. This isn't delusion. This is mental discipline. When your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions are in complete alignment, the universe begins to bend in your favor. You don't attract wealth by begging it to come. You attract it by becoming undeniable, by becoming so aligned, so valuable, so immersed in your purpose that life has no choice but to yield to your presence. This is not motivational fluff. This is law. Just like gravity, just like time, clarity is the starting point of all power. If you don't know what you want, your mind will scatter like dust in the wind. But a person who knows what they want, down to the detail, and believes it will be theirs, that person holds a power the world cannot understand or resist. Don't say, I want to be rich. That's noise. Be specific. How much? Doing what? Where will you live? What kind of mornings will you wake up to? What kind of work will you be immersed in? Until your vision is clear enough to paint with words, you're walking blind. Write it down. Speak it aloud. Build it in your mind until your subconscious can't distinguish between vision and reality. Because once your subconscious accepts it, your body will begin to move in perfect alignment. This is how the wealthy live. They don't act from where they are. They act from where they are going. They don't wait for proof. They become the proof. They don't need the bank account to confirm their identity as a creator. They move as a creator now. Because wealth isn't just a result. It's a reflection. A mirror of your internal world. A reflection of your standards, your thoughts, your emotional state, your choices. Raise your standards, and your results will follow. Refuse to speak as if you're broke. Refuse to think like a victim. Refuse to spend time with people who pollute your mind with small thinking and toxic fears. Environment matters. Your surroundings shape your subconscious more than you can imagine. If you're constantly surrounded by people who dream small, who fear growth, who shrink from challenge, then you will shrink to fit their mold. But if you place yourself among visionaries, Those who think big, act boldly, and demand excellence from themselves and others. Your mind will rise. Every thought you think is a seed. Each day, you water it with emotion. You feed it with attention. You grow it with repetition. So choose the thoughts you plant. Plant wealth. Plant generosity. Plant vision. Plant the belief that you are building something timeless, something that will outlive you. And then get to work. Not just physical work, mental work. Every day, affirm your vision. Visualize your goals. Rewire your internal software. This is where most people fall short. They set goals, but they never reprogram the mind that created their limitations in the first place. You can't outwork a broken mindset. You can't solve scarcity with more hustle if your mind is still wired for lack. You must uninstall that scarcity software. Delete it. Destroy it. Replace it with truth, that you are the architect of your reality. That wealth is not outside of you. It lives inside your untapped potential. It's waiting on the other side of your belief. Here's another truth. You will never outperform your own self-image. If you see yourself as someone who struggles, who survives, who just gets by, then even if wealth arrives, it won't stay, because you haven't built the inner identity to hold it. But if you see yourself as powerful, capable, a value giver, a creator, then wealth will find you and stick to you like gravity. Because wealth always flows where it is welcomed, respected, and expected. This is not arrogance. It's alignment. You're not saying, I deserve wealth because I'm special. You're saying, I will train myself to become the person who creates it because I have something of value to offer the world. And you do. You have ideas. You have gifts. You have energy. And the world is starving for light, not more noise. That's why you must build wealth. Not just for you. Not just for comfort. Not for cars or status or possessions. But because wealth expands your capacity to give, to serve, to lead, to impact. Money is not the root of evil. Weakness is. Fear is. The absence of purpose is. Money is a magnifier. It reveals more of who you already are. If you're disciplined, it multiplies your impact. If you are generous, it amplifies your giving. But if you're scattered and lost, it only accelerates the collapse. That's why your first fortune must be built in the mind, not the bank. Because without a trained mind, money slips through your hands like sand. But with a trained mind, every dollar becomes a soldier marching toward your vision. A tool in the hands of someone who leads with purpose. And this is just the beginning. You must stop thinking like a consumer. The consumer waits. The consumer reacts. The consumer is always chasing. But the creator? The creator decides. The creator initiates. The creator leads. You must train your mind to ask different questions. Not what can I buy, but what can I build? Not how much do I need to get by, but how far can I stretch what I already have? Not what's trending, but what is timeless, valuable, and needed. The consumer mindset chases the illusion of success, but the creator mindset generates it. Think of Andrew Carnegie. He didn't ask, what can I earn? He asked, what can I create that adds value to millions? That's a wealth-generating question. Wealth always flows toward those who solve problems at scale. That means your mind must become solution-oriented. Every challenge you face isn't a barrier. It's an invitation, not to shrink, but to rise. Not to retreat, but to evolve. Ask yourself, who do I need to become to conquer this? That's the path. Because wealth is not a reward. It's a responsibility. And it only belongs to those who can carry its weight without collapsing under the illusion of ease. You want to be rich? Then stop asking for comfort. Start asking for capacity. Capacity to lead. Capacity to learn. Capacity to endure. Capacity to hold the tension between the dream in your heart and the results in your hands. That space where faith meets resistance is where champions are made. And here's a truth that will separate you from 97% of the world. Wealth is boring. It's repetitive. It's not found in grand gestures or loud victories. It's found in the small, almost invisible choices. The choice to read instead of scroll, to invest instead of spend, to act instead of complain. The ones who chase motivation but skip transformation will never hold lasting wealth. You must fall in love with mastery. Mastery of thought, mastery of emotion, mastery of your craft. Because when you master something, you become irreplaceable. And the market always pays a premium for what it cannot replace. But here's where most people quit. They want it now. They want the glory without the grind. They want the result without the roots. That's not how it works. You must delay gratification. Say no to now because you're building something that will last. Discipline isn't punishment. It's preparation. Every time you choose structure over chaos, focus over distraction, intention over impulse, you are tuning your mind to the wealth frequency. And let's be clear, this isn't about deprivation. It's about creation. When your mind is trained, you don't need to prove anything. You stop performing. You stop posturing. You no longer need applause to feel valuable. You no longer need permission to take action. You simply move with conviction. That's what separates those who dabble from those who dominate. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's not background. It's mindset. Your mind is either working for you or against you. There is no neutral. So how do you turn it into your greatest asset? You program it. Like software. You feed it thoughts of wealth, of power, of vision. You repeat them until they feel like truth. You visualize your future so clearly that failure feels foreign. You surround yourself with people who think bigger, who live on purpose, who don't fear success. They expect it. You remove distractions like a surgeon removes cancer. No compromise, no apology, because you are building something sacred. You are building an empire. And empires are not built by people who entertain every distraction. Your focus is your fortune. Guard like gold. Train your emotions too, because the journey to wealth will not be smooth. There will be dry seasons, detours, doubt, days when nothing works, days when everything breaks, days when your mind will beg you to quit. This is where emotional resilience separates the broke from the bold. You must learn to act independently of your feelings. Keep the promise you made to yourself long after the emotion you made it and has faded. The wealthy mind does not rely on motivation. It relies on decision. It moves with intention. It does not negotiate with weakness. And when the storm comes, and it will, you must remember this. You are not the storm. You are the force that walks through it. With every setback, you grow sharper. With every failure, you gain feedback. With every rejection, you gain refinement. This is how the wealthy think. They do not fear loss. They use it. They do not avoid adversity. They rise through it. Because they know what most never realize. The fire that burns your excuses is the same fire that forges your fortune. But here's the catch. None of this matters unless you decide. Not the knowledge, not the books, not the podcasts, not the inspiration. Unless you decide. Unless you cross the invisible line between I want and I will. Desire is not enough. Desire is a spark. But decision? That's the fire. There comes a moment when you must stop dipping your toe in and plunge fully. Without guarantees. Without applause. Without a map. Just a vision. A backbone. And a reason that's louder than your excuses. The universe does not respond to hesitation. It responds to boldness. To clarity. To faith backed by relentless action. Think about Henry Ford. When he was told the V8 engine was impossible, he didn't say, maybe they're right. He said, build it anyway. When the engineers said it couldn't be done, he didn't argue. He said, keep working. I don't care how long it takes. Because his mind was made up. His vision was non-negotiable. And reality eventually bent to the force of his belief. That is how wealth is created. Not by waiting for the perfect time, but by commanding imperfect conditions to obey a perfect vision. You don't need more time. You don't need more degrees. You don't need more permission. What you need is more conviction. The kind that drips from your voice. The kind that radiates through your actions. The kind that causes people to lean in when you speak, not because of charisma, but because of certainty. The world doesn't need more ideas. It needs more people whose minds are trained. When your mind is trained, rejection doesn't faze you. Delays don't discourage you. Distractions don't derail you. Because your mind is anchored in something deeper. You've already seen what's possible. You've already walked the path in your imagination. You've already made peace with the sacrifices. You've already accepted that the old you must die, that the version of you who hesitates, who waits for signs, who seeks safety, that version must be buried. And in its place, a new you must rise. One with new standards, one with new rules, one who no longer plays the game the way the world taught you. Because the wealthy don't play by the same rules. They don't ask, is it possible? They ask, how do I make it inevitable? They don't wait for guarantees. They become the guarantee. They don't need external motivation. They move from internal fire. Their minds are trained to adapt, to pivot, to persist, but never to retreat. This is how you become unstoppable, not by accident, but by alignment, by vision, by decision. You align your thoughts with truth. You feed your mind with vision. You discipline it with action. You stretch it with purpose. And you protect it with everything you've got, because no one else can do it for you. Once you decide, everything changes. Because once you make the decision, truly make it, not just say it, but live it, everything around you begins to align. The people, the opportunities, the ideas, they start to show up because you're finally showing up for yourself. Wealth was never outside of you. It was waiting in your potential, dormant behind layers of fear, distraction, and old programming. But once your mind is trained, nothing can stay hidden. Because wealth is not a number. It's not a lifestyle. It's a state of being. It's how you walk into a room. It's how you respond to setbacks. It's how you speak about your future. It's how you command your thoughts, your emotions, your energy. It's who you become when no one's watching. It's the identity you choose to wear every single day. And when you become someone who moves in alignment with abundance, the world can't help but reflect that. Doors open. People listen. Money moves. Not because of luck, but because you become magnetic. Unstoppable. You've turned your mind into a transmitter of prosperity. You've raised your frequency. And now everything you touch starts to match that energy. Stop chasing. Start attracting. Stop doubting. Start deciding. Stand tall. Clear your mind. Lock in your vision. Move with urgency. Speak with power. Work like your life depends on it, because it does. This isn't about a dream anymore. This is your new standard. This is your new normal. You're not here to survive. You're here to lead, to build, to elevate. You're not average. You never were. You just forgot. Now is the time to remember who you are. One decision, one commitment, one vision lived out daily. That's what separates the wandering from the wealthy. And make no mistake, this is a war for your attention, your energy, your belief. If you do not guard your mind, the world will program it with scarcity, fear, and limits. But if you choose to command it, to train it, to fuel it with truth, nothing will be able to stop you. Repetition is the sculptor of destiny. You will not become what you visualize once. You will become what you visualize daily, obsessively, until your brain rewires your behaviors, your standards, your identity, until your subconscious accepts abundance as your natural state, until the inner version of you becomes the external reality. That's not magic. That's biology. That's alignment. So don't listen to this message once. Listen again and again until it becomes you, until every cell in your body believes it, until your words shift, your walk shifts, your world shifts, because that shift is coming. The only question is, will you be ready for it? You're not waiting for a breakthrough. You're the breakthrough. You're the one who breaks the cycle. You are the one who redefines what's possible in your family, in your circle, in your generation. You are the example, the standard, the light. So rise, with power, with purpose, with unshakable faith, and let the world witness what happens when a mind is fully trained, fully committed, fully aligned. Let them call it luck. Let them call it coincidence. Let them whisper behind your back. But you'll know the truth. You built this. You thought this. You trained for this. You became this. And now, wealth is simply the result of the person you've become. Welcome to the rest of your life.